The scene opens up with a brawl on the streets of Verona between the Capulet and Montague servants. While attempting to stop the fights, Benvolio, Romeo's cousin, is drawn into the fight by Tybalt, the kinsman of the Capulets. The fight rapidly escalates as more citizens become involved, and soon the heads of both households appear on the scene. At last, Prince Aeschylus arrives and stops this fight, forbidding any other outbreaks of violence or death. After Aeschylus dismisses both sides, the Montague and his wife discuss Romeo's recent depressing behavior with Benvolio and ask him to discover its cause. They exit as Romeo enters in his sad state. The head of the maids or their maiden heads, take it in what sense thou wilt. Act 1, Scene 1. Meaning, cut off their heads, take the maidens' heads, whatever, take my remark in whichever sense you like. Paris, a relative of the prince, asked Capulet for his daughter, Juliet, hand in marriage. Capulet initially gives his consent because Juliet is so young. Finally, however, he agrees to match if Paris can gain Juliet's consent. Capulet invites Paris to a feast to be held that night. Capulet sends off the guest list with the servant, who unfortunately cannot read the names. He meets Romeo and Benvolio, whom he asks for help. The guest list includes Rosalina, the object of Romeo's affections, so Romeo resolves to go to the feast despite the danger involved. Mine own fortune and my misery. Act 1, Scene 2. Meaning, I can read my own fortune and misery. Lady Capulet questions Juliet regarding her feelings about marriage, and then informs Juliet of Paris's proposal. When her mother mentions that Paris will attend the feast this evening, Juliet reacts with a very doleful reserve, whereas the nurse, recalling incidents from Juliet's childhood, volunteers a more aggressive response. Nurse, where's my daughter? Tell her to come to me. Act 1, Scene 3. Meaning, nurse, where's my daughter? Tell her to come to me. That is what she's trying to say. Romeo, Benvolio, and Mercutio and the others from the Montague household make their way to the Capulet feast. With their masks concealing their identity, they resolve to stay just one dance. Because Romeo continues to be lovesick for Rosalina, Mercutio teases him for being such a stereotypical, hopeless lover. Mercutio then delivers his highly imaginable Queen Mab's speech, in which he describes how the fairy delivers dreams to humans as they sleep. Give me a torch. I am not for this ambling. Being but heavy, I will bear the light. Act 1, Scene 4. Meaning, give me a torch. I don't want to dance. I feel sad, so let me be the one who carries the light. Romeo and his fellow attendees arrive at the Capulet feast. The guests are greeted by the Capulet, who reminisces with his cousin about how long it's been since they took part in a party. Romeo sees Juliet and falls in love with her instantly. Tybalt recognizes Romeo and sends a rapier to kill him. A violent outburst is prevented as Capulet insists on Tybalt's obedience, reminding him of Romeo's good character and they need to keep the peace. Romeo continues his exchanges with Juliet and they kiss, but are interrupted by the nurse, who sends Juliet to find her mother. In her absence, Romeo asks the nurse who's Juliet, and on discovering that she is a Capulet, realizes the grave consequences of their love. The feast draws to a close, and Romeo leaves with Benvolio and the others. Juliet then discovers from the nurse that Romeo is the Montague. You are looked for and called for, and asked for, sought for in a great chamber. Act 1, Scene 5, meaning they are looking for you in a great chamber.